to go on an adventure? Great! Next up, learning! And the ocean! Ah, the big blue. Welcome to the ocean, where we all know there are plastics. Ocean currents transport plastic waste all around the world, where six-pack drink rings and discarded fishing nets trap seals and dolphins and fish and puppets. Oh, good work getting free, because it's not a great scene, especially here, in the calm center of the circular North Pacific Ocean current. We are in the middle of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, 1.6 million square kilometers that has at least 79,000 tons of plastic. Are you looking for a giant floating island of plastic? You know, I used to expect that too, plastic stretching as far as the eye could see. A very dramatic visual, but it's not what the plastic is like here. Take this. Now, when plastic is exposed to water and sunlight, it starts to break down. And when those pieces that it breaks down into are between 0.5 and 0.05 centimeters, we call them microplastics. As of 2018, an estimated 94% of the 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch were microplastics. A trillion is a huge number. It's 1,000 billions, or 1,000,000 millions. But since those are all big numbers that don't really mean much, let's use time as a reference. So, a million seconds is 11.5 days. A billion seconds is just under 32 years, while a trillion seconds is 31,709 years. So, 1.8 trillion pieces? Yeah, that is a lot of plastic. And the amount here continues to increase every year. But, I mean, you might be saying everything in nature breaks down. You know, a tree falls, biodegrades, and nourishes new life when its nutrients are recycled. But plastics don't break down in that way. They're synthetic, remember, made from fossil fuels. And the long-chain molecules, the polymers that make up the plastics, are so durable they can survive for hundreds of years. They don't break down so much as break apart. Let's shrink down here to see what's really going on. Excellent, we are now microplastic size. And we can see how the surface of this microplastic is really, really rough. And this gives lots of nooks and crannies for pathogens like bacteria to hide in, which may protect them from predators or for longer distances as they hitch a ride on this little raft. And some of the species are E. coli and Vibrio species, like the bacteria that causes cholera, and along with pathogens that cause coral bleaching and various diseases in fish. But it's not just the hitchhikers who make microplastics dangerous. The chemicals the plastics are made out of tend to leach out of them more once they've broken apart, like how PVC, polyvinyl chloride, can leach hydrochloric acid, a very strong acid, and chlorine, the active ingredient in bleach. So, not great. And another thing that leaches out of microplastics are the additives. Now, additives are things added to plastic to change their properties, like durability, stretchiness, and transparency, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of regulation of what chemicals can be used as additives or much research into the effects of these additives on humans, even though some, like our friend bisphenol A, BPA, or certain phthalates, have been confirmed to be endocrine disrupting chemicals, known as EDCs. The endocrine system is run by hormones, which regulate nearly every process in the body, like growth, reproduction, and metabolism, and are effective in pretty small amounts. EDCs throw off this delicate balance by acting like hormones. Is there anything I can use to... Oh, look what's conveniently floating by, a piece of a board game about operating. How just lucky and convenient. And so EDCs, they often mimic the hormone estrogen, which is important for proper sexual and fetal development, for keeping cholesterol in check, protecting bone health, and has also been known to affect the heart, the brain, the skin, and various other tissues in women and men. And in general, EDCs have been linked to a whole host of problems, including reduced immune and nervous system functions, early puberty, metabolic issues, heart health, cancers, and swimmer quality. Sperm quality, Careful. Oh, good job. So, in fact, in the last 40 years, there's been a 50% drop in 50% drop in sperm counts in Western countries, which researchers say could be a canary in the coal mine for broader health risks related to modern living, or for a more apt ocean metaphor, how about like an eel in the coral? Oh, look! Look! A microfiber! Yeah, these microfibers actually make up a lot of microplastic pollution in our shed every time you wash clothes made of synthetic fibers, like nylon, polyester, and spandex. And that's just, a bird! Oh, let's get big again before we get eaten! Okay, so just like how larger pieces of plastic look like food to whales and sea turtles, microplastics look a lot like food to zooplankton, fish, and birds. And you've probably heard about animals with stomachs full of plastic, which is a really, really bad thing. Because when an animal eats plastic, it fills their belly without providing any nutritional value. But since their bodies can't break it down, they think that they're full, it just stays there, it makes them think they're full and they don't eat anymore and they actually can die of starvation. Oh, that's a good puppet. And those harmful chemicals I mentioned, like chlorine and EDCs, these can actually leach out of the plastic and into the animal's tissues and thereby get passed up the food chain and can even reach humans. So, I keep telling you to stop eating this stuff, that's why. But plastic breakdown isn't only a problem in the ocean, so it is time now for us to zoom off to other places where this plastic stuff is wreaking havoc. Join us in the next video to find out where.